This is what I love about this method. The locus of control for the parallel and the direct are right at my fingertips. This opens up so many possibilities. I'm going to show you kind of the old school method of using parallel or New York style compression. And that is that the compression is put onto sends, right? So as you can see here, I've got drums, whatever, 8 or 10 tracks of them. I don't have any room mics, so I'm looking to bring out some of the ambience, as I've said. So I've got two different ones set up. I'm going to show you this one labeled Crush 2 first. I want to focus on Crush 2 because Crush 2, as you can see here, is the one that's being fed by my sends. So you'll notice here that I have post fader sends set up in Luna. So in order to do this, if you want to do this, you can click on a send and hit the plus sign, and you can build it from scratch, or you can simply do, Command Shift B to bring up the create bus to create a bus from a send as opposed to an output. So you'll notice we're not talking about, I'm not sending my drums directly to this Crush bus. I'm sending, because they're going to their regular drum subgroup. And instead I'm creating a parallel send. So that's the whole, you got to make sure you're doing it that way directly from the sends. The reason why I like this is you'll notice right here is this gives me a lot of control. When it comes to multi-tracked drums, this is pretty critical because I may not want all of my elements to go to it. So for example, this is my overheads right here. And, sometimes cymbals and compressors, don't get along so good, right? Things get kind of splatty and so forth. So, meantime, I want my kick drum and my snare drum and my toms to get that parallel processing. So that's why I prefer that. Notice no hi-hat, no ride cymbal. Don't really need, and no snare bottom, right? So this is what I love about sends. Having parallel compression on a send is I'm in control of not only what goes to this parallel bus, but also how much. So that comes up over here, and you'll notice I've got several things going on here that are kind of interesting. Number one, in Luna, we have the ability to add the summing if we wanted, which is great, right? The ability to actually incorporate this summing emulation into it. We also have tape, right? Which, the Ampex 102 here works really, really well. You'll notice that I'm actually kind of going a little crazy with that one here. I'm really driving into the record head. So this is truly a parallel process that includes more than just compression. But, I just figured we'd go all out here. And then I've got an 1176, like I've mentioned in the startup, where it's my favorite. And, I like it because it's fast and so forth. So let's go ahead and listen to this. So right away, it's bringing that kick and snare forward. So with it off and on. So, and in this case, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted kick and snare to be snappier and more forward without, starting to excite too much of the sides and so forth. This is what I love about this method, right? With this method, look at, here's the control. The locus of control for the parallel and the direct are right at my fingertips, right? This opens up so many possibilities. Here's my drum crush, right? So instead of on the courses, right, I want, instead of turning up the drums, I just turn up the crush, right? So your verses are a little more tame. There's a little less of the compressed sound. And then the chorus comes in and we're going up a little bit. We're going up a dB, but only on the crush side. So it's not like you're pushing the volume of the drums, but you're just changing the character.
Can we hear what just the parallel path sounds like on its own? Again, this was a big thing that I used to be very paranoid of, man, my parallel stuff sounds terrible. Am I ruining my mix? Can we hear what it sounds like, just so people at home can understand, these are not supposed to sound pretty, guys. These are supposed to sound a little nasty.
Yeah. And that's actually, I was playing around with it this morning. That's probably a lot of this that I really went into. I really went whole hog on the ATR 102.
Guys, it's meant to be ugly. This is the whole point of this stuff is be aggressive, be a little nasty with it. And just let's do our homework here real quick. What's your 1176 settings? How did you get it to sound so nasty like that?
So it's the legacy plugin. So this, I'm not even relying on, the Mark II versions for this. And it's all buttons mode. It's all, it's all buttons, all, holding down the shift clicking on your ratio buttons and
So
holding
for
shift while doing so puts them
yeah,
all in, right?
well, and so for folks, if you're not familiar with 1176s, this is like what's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Typically on a compressor, right? You only select one ratio at a time. On a normal compressor, most compressors only let you select one ratio at a time. The 1176 though, the way it was made, it actually all of those are independent buttons, and if you did it just right, if you kind of use all four of your fingers on the analog unit and shoved them all in there, it would freak out in a great way, and you'll even see like the meter pins itself.
It just goes pins.
It just it reacts in a really unusual and it adds a bunch of extra gnarliness to the sound.
Yeah, it sure does.
So of course, all of our 1176 plugins emulate this. You can get to it just by, as Drew showed, just press shift and click. And I guess for attack and release, you're going slowest attack, fastest release, right?
Yeah, and slowest attack on an 1176 is still, it's 800 microseconds, so that's 0.8 milliseconds. So even though that, we typically think of parallel compression as using fast attack, that's fast attack on 1176s are always fast. No, I was like,
what. There's no such thing as a slow 1176.
There's no such thing, other than our anniversary edition, which has that dedicated 10 millisecond slow mode. Yep. So yeah. And then, of course, obviously driving it really hard, don't be afraid to push into it super duper hard, get where you need to get there, and then back it off on the back.
In a dense mix, these parallel processes are going to be your best friends.